Okay, we're going to add some toolpaths to the final part of our burr puzzle. We have part D open. This one's a little bit tricky, so make sure you pay close attention. The key is we're going to need to put this in the vise twice. One to make the narrow slot and one to make the wide slot. Because of that, we're going to need two different work origins, two different coordinate systems. One is going to go in this corner for the narrow slot, and one is going to go in this corner for the wide slot. So let's get started with that. I'm going to go to Reference Geometry, make sure your Feature tab is selected. Go to Reference Geometry and set Coordinate System. Pick that corner. X-axis is going to be along the back of the part. Alright, my Y-axis is correct, but if I want to select it, I could go right here. If it's pointing in the wrong direction, you can change it by doing this. Okay? So your Z should always be going up, your X should be to the right, positive X values, positive Y values. That's just how our mill works. We're good to go. I hit OK. I want to rename this just to make sure that there's no confusion about which coordinate system I'm going to use for which slot. So I'm going to call this wide slot. All right, that will hopefully be clear. We're going to make another coordinate system for this guy. So I'm going to rotate my part over. I'm going to go back to Reference Geometry, say Coordinate System, and pick this corner. We're going to do the same thing. My X-axis is still moving in this direction. My Y-axis is going to be along this guy. And I want to make sure that my Z is up, positive X, positive Y, looks good. Hit OK. And as you can imagine, I'm going to call this one the small slot. All right, so we should be good. Moving on to CAM. I'm going to click this guy to our CAM manager. I'm going to go to the CAM tab and start a new job. Now this is where we can get ourselves in trouble. We want to make sure that we select the right coordinate system for the job. We're going to post two separate jobs. I'm going to start with my wide slot just to show you how to change that. Right click, clear that selection, select the wide slot, no additional stock again, just like the last jobs. We hit OK. So we should be set up to operate in this orientation. We're going to go to 2D milling and go to adaptive clearing. First thing we need to do is select a tool bit. We've loaded the library last time. We're going to go with the same one. Feeds and speeds stay the same. We're going to go right to our geometry tab. This is what we want to keep. This is what we want to remove. So I want to keep this and this. I want to remove this. All right. Deselect machine cavities. Go here. I'm going to go from selection. Even though it's already picked, I want to pick this guy to put our blue plane, which is going to tell it how deep to cut. Whoops, yeah, that's good. Next tab, rather, we want to make sure we remove this because we don't want to leave additional stock. If you do that, you're going to be the guy who has the notch 40 thousandths too narrow and 20 thousandths too shallow. We're good there. We hit OK. Let's see what that looks like. Okay guys, I just picked up a mistake we made. So notice this notch is here. So HSM Works thinks that it wants to come in here and start cutting. That's going to be a problem. Let me show you why. I'm going to go to Simulate and hit play. And whoop, let me just pause it there. Let me rewind and hit play again. Whoop, one more time. Stock simulation. Play right there. I'm going to pause it. So notice that it took a full depth of cut with that 1/4 inch bit. For those of you who've done any machining before, you would know that that would break this bit right off. This kind of cut is perfectly fine. This kind of cut is going to break our bit. Now we're cutting this combination of plastic and wood, and it may do it, But I want to teach you how to fix this problem, because if we might do a similar operation in aluminum someday, and you're going to need to catch that so you don't break the bit. So let me show you what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to go back and make some changes to our part. So I'm going to go back in here under my design manager. I'm going to go to features and ultimately go to sketch. And we're going to create a new sketch right on this surface. Okay? And I'm going to have you grab, make a new sketch right on that surface. Let's look normal to that sketch. Grab your rectangle tool and you're going to click right, make sure you get right on the orange dot there and then right on this orange dot. Okay? Hit OK and exit the sketch. So now we just have a rectangle there that's snapped right to our notch that we want to cut. If we go back to our Cam tab now and right click and edit this, and in our geometry tab, instead of selecting this face which has this notch cut in it, I'm going to right click and clear that, and now come and select this line. Alright, and we're going to select all of the pieces of that line. Alright, now I got all 4 pieces of that rectangle selected. If I hit OK now, notice that it thinks that the material is there and it's going to not do that whole big cut. And remember that that notch is not cut away yet. So let's do a stock simulation now and see what happens. Now we're not making that full cut as we did in the previous simulation, so our bit is safe and we're good. Okay, I'm going to speed that up. Alright, nice cut. We'll go on to the next one. So we need to make a new job in order to cut this notch over here. So I'm going to go to job, and in this case we're going to select the small notch, which is the default. I'm going to hit OK. We have a second job here. I'm going to select that one. Go to 2D milling, adaptive clearing. Now in this case we don't need to worry about that material, the bit breaking, because that material's already been removed. As long as we run this as the second operation, we cut our big notch first, we should be okay. We're going to go to library and select the same bit again. On our geometry, once again, this is what we want to remove. This is what we want to keep. Go to our heights, and down here we're going to go from selection. Select that. Notice our blue plane drops down, our depth of cut. Don't forget to deselect stock to leave, and this one we leave alone. Hit OK.